everyone. This is Usa and Asa Blake, and welcome to TwinFold. We are, as you know, a web series that really focuses on highlighting tech experts, tech resources, and tech tools that have an impact on education technology. And today, our topic of discussion will be the sense of smell. And today we have with us the founder, one of the founders of OVR Technology, Aaron Wisniewski. Am I saying that right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's pretty close. Wisniewski, but I'll take all versions.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy to have you because you're doing some innovative things in this space. So how are you doing, first and foremost, during this pandemic?
I am more or less doing pretty well. First of all, thank you for having me here to talk. It's a really interesting time. I've been, fortunate to be where I am. Have access to the outdoors. Myself and my family have been healthy. But that's punctuated also with just that kind of general anxiety that everyone has about, the future being uncertain and health being uncertain and business being uncertain and all of these questions concerning it. But I would have to say, for the most part, I'm doing pretty well.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about OVR technology and why the sense of smell?
Absolutely. Um, at OVR Technology, we believe that by improving the virtual world, we can make real measurable improvements to the real world. And our tool, our secret weapon to do that, is our oldest and most primal sense, which is our sense of smell. And it's unique from all of our other senses because it's the only one that's directly linked to the limbic system, which is the system in our brain responsible for memories and emotions, and to a large degree, behavior and motivation as well. And so although, incredible advances, technological advances have happened in virtual reality in terms of, audio and visual, the thing that is going to help VR realize its true potential and humanize it is by engaging our sense of smell, we believe, and enhancing the presence or the feeling of really being there in the virtual world.
Wow, that's fascinating. Honestly, I think this is the first time we have both heard about technology that plays upon the sensors other than sight, right? So what do you think that the sense of, or how do you think that the sense of smell and your technology will influence ed tech?
So it's an interesting question because the question for us really isn't how does smell affect education? How does smell affect training, or how does smell affect healthcare? It's really how can smell perfect the virtual experience to allow education, training, and healthcare to be, consumed or delivered through the virtual experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we pose that the more real the experience feels, then the more you'll be able to retain information, identify with the, you guys hear that? There's a lawnmower going by right now. All right, good, sorry. So the more real the experience is, the more likely you are to, engage with it, feel empathy, and then retain the information. And in education specifically, we believe in as much as possible experiential learning. So just by reading a textbook or watching something on TV or hearing someone say it, a lot of that information is going to kind of like slip through the cracks, or you're not going to have a personal connection to it. But by having a genuine, authentic experience in the virtual world, you will absorb that information as if it, actually happened to you. And the only difference in the virtual world is that anything is possible. You can go anywhere, you can be anyone, you can have access to anyone at any time.
I think that kind of speaks to, just kind of a follow-up to that, I think that speaks to your own background. I think that you have a very unique background. And if you could share with our viewers a little bit about what you've done in the past and how that has led you to this type of technology.
Absolutely. I was actually a fairly unlikely candidate to be a co-founder and CEO of a technology company in the virtual space, because my background wasn't specifically in technology, and I hadn't been, a gamer or particularly involved in that community until the last few years. My story arc revolves around our sense of smell, the art and science of olfaction, and how it influences our cognition and behavior, and how we can use it as a force for good to trans people's lives for the better. So that manifested in my career in a number of different ways, traveling around the world, sourcing these scent memories that turned into a career as a chef for a while, in spirits and wine, and understanding the science about how smell affects taste and flavor, which led me into a career founding and running my own flavor and fragrance company. And the flavor and fragrance industry is this kind of like behind the scenes industry that, everything from, for example, the smell of perfume and the taste of Doritos, to the smell of, products. Most people before they leave their house in the morning have used a scented product over 30 times without even realizing it. And the reason that they're using that is because of the power of smell. Mm-hmm. So a lot of consumer products use that power, and I wanted to shift it to something a little bit more, in my mind, meaningful, and a little bit more impactful. So the first time that I tried virtual reality and kind of saw the potential of what virtual reality could do, I was bowled over. And my co-founders had a similar thought kind of at the same time. And so by looking at what virtual reality could do and using our unique skill set to help it realize that vision, that's been our guiding, our North Star in this journey.
That's amazing.
Excellent.
I actually think I commend you all for being involved in this project. I find it so fascinating that we are using this type of technology to really better understand the environment in which we all live in. Yeah. So, and to do our part to at least take away some of the bad footprint that we have contributed to, some of the destruction of the environment that we live in. So I find it so interesting. But in what you just said, you pointed out how OVR technology is really, whatever they're doing has an impact on a global level. So we have a global audience, and oftentimes we get questions about how does that particular company or resource or tool play a part in global markets, especially in emerging markets like Nigeria or India or Brazil. How do you think OVR would impact global markets?
That's also a great question. And I do, before I answer that, I just want to say one thing about the Global Village, knowing some of the work that you've done, is that there's a lot of these curated experience on the platform, but also we're planning on giving especially kids access to the technology to tell their stories on the platform too, which will be like, so I think that's just a cool thing that I wanted to point out about that. And as far as how can our technology support, we focus on education as well as training and healthcare. So those are kind of our three buckets. And how can we, affect outcomes in emerging markets and developing countries? One of the most exciting things about virtual reality, I think, is that you can, and we hope in the future, it is a massively scalable, extremely inexpensive porthole to access education, training, and healthcare. So, one of the biggest barriers to proper healthcare and proper education and training is just access. Access is a huge thing, and access has, it's a many different things. It's financial, it's geographical, it's a lot of different things. But if you have access to the virtual world, which is democratizing healthcare, democratizing education, democratizing training for, expanding economic opportunities, packaged up in this little, device, that continues to get cheaper and cheaper, then we can give, it sounds lofty to say, but we could potentially give anybody who wants it access to the same education that I could get, that you could get, that, someone in New York could get, or someone in Paris can get, because it's all exists on the same platform. You just need this piece of incredible technology to access it. And so, anywhere where maybe there's some sort of electricity to charge it every once in a while, the access to especially mental health care, primary, secondary, continuing education, it can be completely democratized, and everyone can have the same access for very, very little money. Right now, the technology is still nascent, so it's still a little bit cost prohibitive. But we see as more people enter the game, the technology gets increasingly more incredible, and then the price continues to drop. This is where I see people getting a good portion of their education, healthcare, and job skills training. And we see some of that already happening, the shift from going outside of your home to consume things, everything, consume entertainment, consume social hour, consume education, is shifting to consuming from either your hand or your home. And so, we just want to accelerate that and broaden who has access to it.
Yes, the world as we know it has completely changed. And when I hear a lot of, we need to get back to normal, there is no normal, right? We have a new normal. No. We are creating it right now as we speak. So I think AR, VR, XR in general will play a big part in creating that new normal. So with that said, what key nuggets would you share with our audience in what to expect from your company, OVR Technology, and from the XR business community as a whole?
I mean, COVID has violently forced a new reality upon us. And it's one where virtual reality is no longer a nice to have. We get a glimpse of what the future is. Like you said, it's the new normal. Virtual reality is kind of going to be a necessity in order to do a lot of the things that we have been taking for granted. So that's one thing. I think that the technology around XR, AR, VR that has been confined to some narrow markets and some narrow spaces is now immediately going to be widely accepted, widely adopted, and necessary. In a lot of cases, anyone who's had to have like a doctor's appointment in the last 3 months knows that a lot of them are taking place on Zoom. And Zoom, as much as I love Zoom and it's allowing us to do this right now, that's not the answer that's going to solve our problems. We need to replicate those genuine human interactions in the virtual world, and the technology is almost there already. So OVR, by enabling the quality of virtual reality and the power of virtual reality to realize that potential, I think we're going to see something that we expected to happen in 5 years happen in the next 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It might be a little bit over ambitious, but the point is that it's happening to us much more quickly than we were expecting, and the reality that we were preparing for is the reality that's happening right now.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Erin, for being with us today. I know I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see what you all will do a year from now, 2 years from now, with the technology that you guys have been able to come up with, and with the projects that you already have in place. So I hope our viewers have enjoyed what we have been discussing today, and we invite you to really leave your comments, your questions using the hashtag TwinFold Chat. And you can reach us on many, many, many different social media accounts: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and our handles are at TwinFold M. Please, please, please let us know what you think about this week's episode. And we thank Erin for being with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we will see you all next week.